We are back.
It feels good. 12. It feels good to be back.
It is going to be a season unlike any other. I mean, first of all, we went indoors last year in Tacoma. That seated around 23,000. We're at the Dome in America Center. This thing could hold up to 80,000.
Yeah, it used to be the show where there was the greatest show on turf. When we think about the St. Louis Rams, now it's the greatest show on trust. American Ninja Warrior in a modified version for season 12. But it is so good to be back.
Absolutely. Well, this season is really different, and one of the messages we realized that's much bigger than our show is about coming together. And because of that, we wanted to have a team element because we're not going to have audience. We're not going to have all the ninjas on the sidelines. We thought we'd bring teams together with special connections.
Yeah, and that's right. And so that atmosphere was built in, that support was built in. And so the connections we saw, some were religious connections, some was proximity connections. We saw, teams from different groups and areas and gyms too. A lot of these gyms have popped up, ninja gyms have popped up. And so we saw some of our team captains cherry picking from the talent pool that they had inside of their ninja gyms.
A great example is Jerry DeRelio, who's a captain in the JAG Corps. The two teammates she chose, Ninja Verdell Benson, Ninja V.
Yep.
He's a Bronze Star winner, former platoon captain in the Army, now working on the front lines. And Michael Boyer, who's in the National Guard, just completed Ranger School. Now doing intelligence work, but also an EMT. All of them had that bond together of serving our country.
Yeah, and then we think about veterans like Joe Morosky, who's able to bring along two rookies, bring them and introduce them kind of into the world of American Ninja Warrior. And we've seen that. We've seen the veteran success, and now we're starting to see the rookie success.
Well, one of the most certain things on American Ninja Warrior is that there was always going to be changes.
We're always changing.
We got some great new obstacles. One of the great new ones is an obstacle called Ring Chaser. This was designed by the maker ninja, Kevin Carbone, and it starts off, it's incredible. You get up on these monkey bars and everything starts rolling.
And you got to go, and you got to get in front of the ring to be able to catch the ring. And if you don't catch the ring, then you're left with this small ring to then hook on to a small, to a peg, and that makes it extremely difficult.
And then you have to fly on the peg.
Yes, yeah.
With either the big ring where it's easier or this little ring, which is much tougher.
Yeah, that's tough. Another favorite is Wait For It. Wait For It, I think, was designed by a 10-year-old.
A 10-year-old girl out of Colorado.
A 10-year-old submitted this in, and I'm telling you, it is one of the craziest obstacles we've ever seen. Just think about the
bars, they're weighted, coming down. You got to transfer.
For it.
It's really hard to describe it. She drew it beautifully, I think, with crayon. But when you see these obstacles, you're going to realize our ninjas are going to be tested in new ways. We have Rib Run, this incredible agility test where there are structures you have to go on that look like ribs.
I think it's the hardest agility test we've ever had on American Ninja Warrior, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the way it is set up, when you see Rib Run, you're going to know why they call it Rib Run.
Well, this is a special season. This entire season, we're here in St. Louis at the Dome at America Center. We're not going to Vegas. We're not building Mount Midoriyama with all four of its stages, but we have something very special at the end.
Yes, it's the Power Tower, and the Power Tower is going to be used in a unique way to be able to get us our champion this year. It used to be where you had to climb up this 70-foot tower. Now we've got this big tower that's 40-foot tall right behind us, and
you got giant steps.
The last ninja standing.
Poles.
Yes, we'll be in the Power Tower.
Climbing, sliding, lifting.
It's very dynamic. It's a dynamic Power Tower, different from that of Mount Midoriyama.
What I loved about this season is we knew it was different. We wanted to figure out a way that we could challenge these athletes. We've got a 6-obstacle course for qualifying, a 10-obstacle course for finals. We're using the Power Tower at the end of qualifying. Yep. We're using it at the finals for the bracket. We're using it in the women's championship. I love it. This season is special, and we found a special way to challenge our ninjas. Look, we all know the nation is in an unprecedented lockdown right now. And just to get here, we had to move heaven and earth. And always the thought was with safety. How do we do this safely? So from the beginning, it's been different.
Yeah, and kudos to NBC and the production team, Iseman Production, and really creating this ninja bubble, so to speak. We're situated here in St. Louis at the Dome, and just everything from our hotel safety to our crew safety to our tower, everything is constantly being sanitized. The social distance, everything.
We were getting tested 2 weeks before we came. They really had us locking down at home. As soon as we traveled and got here, we got tested again. We're getting tested every 3 days. We're really being cautious. People, anyone coming into contact with us, we're minimizing the number of interactions. We're minimizing the number of ninjas who are even in the building at once. And that's, again, why we chose these teams to really try to keep about 3 ninjas near the course at any given time.
And then there are bubbles,
different.
bubbles within bubbles.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our own bubble, people who are allowed to come in within our bubble, and then there are different bubbles for the production. The 350,000 square feet we're actually utilizing, and so everything is kind of spread out so everyone can work, don't have to work on top of each other, but everybody can work and do what they need for the show to continue.
And one of the great things about American Ninja Warrior has always been the audience. When we've had the fans, we're in a dome that seats 80,000. We're not having a single fan here. What we are doing, though, is we're having people logging in from home. We're getting them on video,
virtual support,
and they're getting to watch it. They're getting to see it. It's been a different energy. We understand this isn't going to be like a normal season, but we still knew how important it is for these ninjas to let their friends and family who've supported them to see them compete.
Well, a lot of the ninjas didn't know if season 12 was going to happen, and so they didn't know really how to prepare. But some of these ninjas who have their own gyms, they had the ability to obviously close the gym down and utilize it just for themselves. But other ninjas, they just had to sit at home and kind of wait. Either they went back to the old school route, which was turning your house into your training gym. And we saw a lot of that in the submission videos, but this is a special season for American Ninja Warrior, because we know that a lot of these ninjas aren't coming in tip-top shape like we're used to seeing them, but they're competing on a different level.
But what I'm amazed to see is, like all of us, you've had to find a new way to try to maintain your fitness. And we've seen these ninjas working out at home, working out in their backyards, working out with the people with whom they've been quarantining, or getting online and doing these remote training sessions together. And the thing that I love, the thing that's wonderful about Ninja Warrior is this isn't a competition show in the sense you're not competing against anybody but yourself. So we've seen these ninjas coming together, sharing training tips, figuring out ways that they've figured out how to push themselves or to train their upper body, to train agility in their house or out in the backyard. And it's been amazing seeing the creativity. I mean, it feels like we're going back to those first seasons when people didn't have ninja gyms everywhere and people had to figure it out. And I think, like so many of America having to figure things out right now in this new reality, that's what our ninjas have done. One of the things I love is our show has always given us a chance to highlight what people do outside of Ninja Warrior. And first responders, those who serve our community, healthcare workers have always been a big part of it. And this year, it's special. And when you have someone who's an intensive care use like when you have someone who's an intensive care unit nurse like Maddie Howard, who's coming out here competing, and we have a chance to link back to her hospital, where the doctors and nurses just took a moment from what they were doing to watch one of their own out here competing and to see, despite everything, despite all these challenges, life's going on. To have guys like the Powers of Tower, Brandon Mears and Dan Palizzi, who are firefighters and paramedics, who every day are going into people's homes, dealing with this pandemic firsthand, to have them be able to come out here and just have a moment of normalcy. We know how important it is to take care of yourself, to stay healthy, and to have them come out here and compete and to get to share their stories, and in doing so, to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who's out there on the front lines trying to keep this country safer, putting their lives at risk to save others. It's a chance for us to highlight stories like this and a chance to say thank you.
And I don't think people at home realize how many of our ninjas are more than just ninjas. We've had so many frontline workers. I think of Pauline Avila and just the many others that we have competing on the show who are helping to keep everyone here stateside safe.
And there's also more. One of the things I love about American Ninja Warrior is the obstacles they overcome on the course are nothing compared to the obstacles off the course. And a great story, one that I know is very close to your heart, is Jimmy Choi. This was a guy who's been dealing with early onset Parkinson's. Last year, he came to our course and he said, "This is my last year competing. I'm having a procedure that's going to hopefully help my Parkinson's, but prevent me from ever competing again." In the off season, he discovered a new treatment, a revolutionary cutting edge treatment that didn't exist just a few years ago. And it allowed him to get better. He says like a 35% improvement in strength and mental functioning, and to have him out here, the fact that he can be on this course at all is such a victory. And to share that story, people, I think right now are craving stories of hope and inspiration, and so many of our ninja stories give them that. We are all starving for sports. I've been watching Super Bowls from back in '98. Was that the Broncos won that year? It's been incredible. We've been watching replays. We've been trying to find who can break through, who can get sports to come back, because I think it's such an important thing. Well, we all know it's an escape, but it's an escape we need, and it's a sense of normalcy. And obviously, what we're doing is anything but normal. We're in a dome. There are no fans here. But when you watch the athletes on the course, when you get to hear their stories, when you get to see them hit the buzzer and feel the excitement, I think it's going to be what people really have been starving for.
Yeah, and it's the combination of having the athletes performing, but also the athletes telling their stories as they've been able to kind of navigate through this pandemic. When you're watching the NFL, when you're watching the NBA, you're watching the teams, you're watching the players, but you don't really know how it's really impacted their life. And that's a big deal, because I think people want to feel connected to the athletes that they're watching. And American Ninja Warrior is an easy way to connect to the athletes that you're watching.
Year after year, people tune into this show. They just seem to love watching it. I mean, the athletic feats are incredible. The storytelling is great, but without a doubt, it's the hosting.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, we put a lot into it. I mean, you say it tongue in cheek, but the truth is I think what people enjoy about it is the way you and I are really invested into it. And in no other platform can you really just let your heart out when you're commentating and you're hosting the show. I mean, it is really special, though.
We get to be fans, and that's what special is. Look, I think people love the athleticism, but I think they truly love the stories. And one of the great things American Ninja Warrior does is tell stories. And the stories of these athletes, and what's amazing is we're in season 12, and some of these athletes have been here since the beginning. And to see their growth, and to see a guy like Joe Moravsky, who came on the show single, now he's married, his third kid is on the way. We're seeing these people grow up before our eyes. We're seeing their lives change. We're seeing them go through health scares. We're seeing them battle back and have setbacks. And it's such a, we're all growing together. But at the end of the day, I really think people tune in and they've fallen in love with the stories of these ninjas, because